Are you ready to dive into a world of secrets and regrets where everyone, even yourself, is not who they seem? What's up, girls and boys? What's up, internet? I am Bianca, and these are my thoughts, my honest thoughts and impressions on Furyu and Nippon Ichi Software's Caligula Effect 2, the sequel to the 2019 role-playing game Caligula Effect Overdose. For those unaware, Caligula Effect is a role-playing game that features strategic turn-based battles and an extremely wide range of characters, from the playable cast, the NPCs, and enemies. It was originally released on the PlayStation Vita and was later remade for the PlayStation 4, Steam, and the Nintendo Switch as Caligula Effect Overdose with upgraded visuals and Unreal Engine 4 processing. It also boasts the inclusion of Tadashi Satomi and Tsukasa Masuko in their staff, both of whom have worked in the story scenario and the musical compositions for the Persona franchise, respectively. Now, Caligula Effect 2 comes into the fray, and it follows the events from Overdose. It also follows the same kind of story and plot flow / progression, although the sequel does have a faster pace than that of the prequel and overall flows better than its predecessor. In Caligula Effect 2, the virtual doll Regret has created a new paradise, Redo, a perfect virtual world for those who wish to be saved from their past regrets by unknowingly imprisoning them in this simulated world. However, this faux paradise's peace and tranquility was shattered when another virtual doll, Key, breaks into the realm and restores the memories of the real world to those trapped within, starting with your character, whose gender and name you can choose for yourself. With Key, you both establish the Next Generation Go Home Club, a club meant to fight against Regret and her obbligato musicians to escape the false world. Though the game is a direct sequel, it could be played by itself, with no prior knowledge or experience of its predecessor, as things that had happened in the previous game are explained and touched upon in this one, albeit briefly. It does pay to have played the prequel, however, as there are moments where knowledge of the events from it are depended upon for the revelation to make an impact in this title's narrative. Caligula Effect 2, however, is not for those who want fast-paced gameplay, story, or battles, as it is anything but. This high school role-playing game is as slow-paced as they come, especially for those who wish to experience everything a title has to offer. The introduction sequence alone lasts for 30 minutes before you're allowed to actually roam about and control your character freely. This game is also not for people who dislike reading, as it has walls of text not dissimilar to how Persona games are handled. People like to talk in this game, a lot, and cutscenes are especially chock full of conversations that just seem to drag on and on and on. Speaking of similarities with the Persona franchise, Caligula Effect has a lot of it, to the point where Switch-only owners can think of this as a Persona Lite, or a game that could scratch that Persona itch until Atlus finally decides to share Personas 3, 4, and 5 to them. Apart from the school setting and how the protagonists in this game are all students of that school, Caligula Effect 2 also follows the same kind of embrace your true self narrative for these protagonists in order to combat the enemies, as it is only when they are made aware of their real selves and the real world do their powers manifest.
ここで戦うもんだろ。なあ、ノトギ。なあ！あ、ギ
Are you ready? Go live!
なんだこれは。
It also has affection levels between your character and the rest of the cast. Increasing this through using them as part of your party in battles as well as progressing through the story allows you to view character stories. 9 chapters for each, where you get to know more about them and uncover their reasons for being trapped in Redo. There are moments, especially on high affection ratings, when your choices can cause the character story's progression to halt or stall, locking the next story up. These are called broken bonds, and the only way to unlock it is to pay a particular amount of key points. Rare points awarded from various activities in the game, sometimes at random, other times as part of the story or as rewards in chests, to make amends with that character and try again. Unlike the Persona franchise, however, this whole affection thing extends to every 200 plus NPCs that you encounter in the game. For the NPCs, their affection can be increased from merely speaking with them and unlocking them in the causality link, as well as in doing favors, aka side missions, for them. These side missions range from speaking with another related NPC, increasing another NPC's affection, obtaining a certain item or a certain number of items, or speaking with them with a specific equipment. Despite how much variety that all sounded, it still falls down as being some kind of fetch quest. It can also get quite annoying and time-consuming in trying to find these characters, as some of them do like to move around and you have no way to precisely track them even after you've met them. There aren't even markers for them. You can also make use of Wire, the game's version of a messaging app, and send messages to all the characters in the game to get to know them better. The game states that using it helps increase a character's affection for you, but I haven't noticed any changes in affection when I'm using it, making me believe that the increase is a minuscule one. Granted, I haven't been using Wire much or at all outside of doing so in order to obtain the trophy related to it. While we're on the topic of characters as wide as an array of casts as this title has, it, however, doesn't have the most likable of protagonists. Even your own avatar, the character you created for yourself, feels rather bland when you compare it to other silent protagonists of the same genre. The other characters that end up joining the Go Home Club, though most have interesting stories and backgrounds, don't really exude the same kind of charm and charisma that would immediately make them fan favorites. Save for 2, I personally found myself disliking all of the Go Home Club members for various reasons, from one character nagging way too much, another being such a condescending know-it-all, a couple that screech too much, or from just how their characters are written. Even Key, despite having growth of her own as the story progresses, ended up being more annoying than Legend of Zelda's Navi and Genshin Impact's Paimon combined. The revelations some of these characters have are also pretty obvious, as hints dropped are so glaring it's impossible to miss, especially with Jin, Sasara, and Nico's characters. I honestly saw it coming a mile away, which I had hoped was not the case. Likewise, some plot points and story beats are overdone and kind of cliched, though the twist that they offered during the conclusion of the 5th of 8 chapter was a welcome surprise and one that really made the title interesting. The intrigue built upon was also one that I enjoyed up until its culmination, where the revelations and the ending that followed were subpar at best and quite frankly was a WTF moment for all the wrong reasons. There are also moments within the narrative and the game's quest menu where things are lost in translation. Like for the quest Teacher from Hell, for instance, where the item being requested, a large set square, is actually just a ruler, or how conversations get so convoluted with characters using way too complex sentence structures that whatever they are trying to say just flew over my head. Not for the lack of understanding, but due to how bloated the conversations tended to end up and how that ended up prolonging cutscenes and making me bored overall. Literally, there are moments in the game where I just want to shake the characters and scream at them to get to the point or tell them that the point was already made. Suffice to say, the story is not Caligula Effect 2's strong point. Rather, it's in the battles that I found myself really interested in and having fun with, since the battle system in this game is as unique as they come. Battles, despite being turn-based, very much relies on strategy. Blindly attacking or using skills willy-nilly can quickly turn the battle against your favor. Likewise, choosing the right attack at the right moment can help you fell an enemy dozens of levels higher than you. To help you in getting the timing of attacks just right, you can make use of the imaginary chain to predict your enemy's moves and perform the perfect strat. Making use of this, as well as calculated techniques, can help you gain that tactical advantage. Each member of the Go Home Club also has their own strengths and weaknesses, complemented by the other members. As such, picking the right party formation can also make surviving through this game a breeze, as does picking the right equipment. Each of them also has their own overdose skills, which are basically ultimate skills usable only when their stress meters are full. Another important aspect of battles in this game is Ki and her key-jacking abilities triggered when you unleash Voltage, an overdrive done in battle where her songs, which you get more variety of with each musician defeated and upon getting that secret ending, gives various buffs while active. What song is used is something you can pick for yourself. You can also use key points to increase Ki's singing skills and voltage skills. Singing skills are passive skills that help with key jacking, while voltage skills are those that help increase the voltage meter. The battles, however, are not perfect, because coupled with how slow-paced the battles could be, what with you making adjustments with your tactics, is the fact that executions of these tactics, of your attacks and skills, are quite slow as well, that battles could just drag on, and there's no way to speed these up. Not by changing anything in the options or settings menu of the game or pressing a button to speed the battles along. Even with how interesting the mechanics could be, this could make battles a slog and had me at long gameplay sessions and during my New Game Plus run wishing not to fight enemies and try to find ways to not toggle the fights. When it comes to the game's aesthetics, however, it does leave a lot to be desired, especially with how the character models look and how the models rarely, if ever, matches the tone and emotion supposedly evoked during a scene. That said, it does look as good as it can be on the Nintendo Switch. But as someone who played this more on the PlayStation 5, the only thing noticeable between the two are the crisper graphics and the frame rate, as well as the faster load and save times. The music, however, is fantastic! The tracks offered in the game left me bopping to their tunes as I played, and I considered it as another of this title's strong suit. As for the voice acting, if you want English voices, then you're out of luck, as the game only has the Japanese tracks. And although I generally prefer Japanese voices most of the time, and although the actors in the game did a wonderful job, it did left me feeling annoyed that some tracks were left without any translation, particularly during important battles when you can hear the characters trading words with each other as much as they were trading blows. And those with no knowledge of the Japanese language are only left to wonder what they are saying. And they're saying quite a lot of things that I personally feel could add more to our understanding of the characters and their motivations. As I've mentioned before, there is a new Game Plus option that unlocks upon beating the game for the first time. You carry over certain statuses such as your character's personality type, money, items, levels, quest progression, and stigmas/equipment acquired during the first playthrough. Beating the game with the good ending and loading that clear save file also puts you moments before the final battle and allows you to do a bunch of post-game stuff like fighting a much stronger version of the musicians, gaining access to and attempting the Tower of Prometheus, the more challenging aspect of the game where you are tasked to conquer 100 levels without having access to equipment upgrades or the ability to change equipment, and where you also cannot use any items. You can also change the enemy settings so that their levels are higher than normal, and finish whatever side missions you may still need to complete. Though the Tower of Prometheus does provide an opportunity to test one's mettle and prolong the gameplay, it is, sadly, like the rest of the areas in Caligula Effect 2, boring to traverse. I personally haven't beaten all 100 levels, though that is not for the lack of trying, but more so because it just ended up being cumbersome with nothing notable to reward you for your effort. It was much more interesting to challenge the musicians again in their memory fragments than it was doing the tower, considering apart from getting stronger equipment for it, you also get a glimpse of who the musicians were as people. Suffice to say, even with the list of things I didn't like about the game outweighing those that I did, I still found Caligula Effect 2 to be an interesting JRPG with its heavy themes and glimpses of individual problems that real-world people are experiencing. It is also a game that allows for introspection of oneself, on how we treat others, and on how we carry ourselves through our lives. It sounds like a juxtaposition in saying that this, personally, was an interesting yet boring game. It is fun and interesting because of the battles and how you have to adjust your strategy at the moment and see how it could play out before you finalize anything. Getting 100% completion is also very easy with just minimal grinding, and it took me around 80 hours, 44 minutes, and 8 seconds to do everything, including getting both endings available in the game. But beyond that, Caligula Effect 2 was brought down by unimpressive dungeons, uncharismatic characters, uninspired side missions, and an ending that was disappointing and left a lot to be desired. Overall, would I recommend it? Well, for people who like challenging and interesting battles and battle mechanics, yes. For Switch owners who have no way to play Persona games apart from Scramble but are itching to play something like it, yes. For JRPG enthusiasts, well, it has something to offer that no other can, so yes. But maybe wait for a sale. I know, I feel bad for saying that, but it is what it is. Like I have said, however, it is not a game for people who don't like dealing with social issues or think that these issues are political in nature when brought up front. Or for people who don't like to read much or those who enjoy fast-paced games. It is especially not for those who dislike backtracking and monotonous fetch quests. For those like me who have played Caligula Effect Overdose, then this is one you wouldn't want to miss, despite all of its flaws, as it is a good enough sequel. It is also a step up from the previous title, though that doesn't really say much. I do hope that this is not the end for this franchise, however, and I am looking forward with a bit of hope to what comes next. I just really wish that the next Caligula Effect game will be a lot more polished to make it less of a slog and make it more memorable. But hey, these are just my personal thoughts on the game. If you guys are interested, Caligula Effect 2 will come out with an ESRB teen/PEGI-12 rating on October 19th for the North America, October 22 for the EU, and October 26 for Australia and New Zealand, and it is coming out for the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation consoles. And well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, you guys know the drill. Dream on, fly on. Bye bye for now. Keep safe, everyone.